maybe I could just start my greeting to everybody by saying, hello everyone. I'm Dana Deal, and I would like to take this opportunity to thank all of you who have traveled to gather here today, and also to welcome the folks watching on the webcast. As you know, hopefully you know already that we have coffee and tea situated to the right of the stage. Please feel free to help yourselves whenever you feel the need. And directly to my right here, through the double doors, is where the smoking area is located. Washrooms are located once again to the right of the stage. There's a ramp going up. Whether you've been following this information relative to today's seminar or you're hearing it for the first time, we ask only that you allow the information to flow through your heart with your mind relaxed and open to the potential for new ideas to resonate within you. We are very pleased and honored to welcome Vic Beck here today. I, for one, really appreciate the incredible effort that he has put into gathering the knowledge being shared here. And I'm very thankful to be a part of a group that is striving to make this world we live in a better place for each other and for future generations.
Thank you. I don't know who Vic Beck is, but Vic Beck is a name, just so we're clear. I am not Vic Beck. Just make sure we don't have any misunderstandings in here. If you don't already know, a large part of the game that's being, I don't want to say used against us, but it's what's got us bound up in this game of money and commerce and debt, is it starts with a name. And hopefully by the end of the day you'll understand that you can free yourself from the obligations associated with that name. And in fact, it was never intended that we perform the way we're performing here in this game of commerce, if you will. And I'm not here to shove anything down anyone's throat. Just here to share some information. If you accept it, you accept it. If you don't, you don't. That's okay. As Dana said, keep an open mind. If you're coming from a judgment perspective, you may not hear everything that's being said. And again, that's okay too. But if you try to keep an open mind and an open heart and just receive the information. If it resonates, it resonates. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Don't argue with it. Don't fight it. If it doesn't feel good, then you're not ready. And I'm not passing judgment in making that statement. So I want to kind of set the tone too, where I'm coming from, my perspective of the world and all the wonderful faces I'm looking at. And I know from my own perspective that you're all part of my reality. And I create my experience, I create my reality, and right now I'm looking at all these faces, and you're all a mirror of me. In fact, when I look out the window, everything I see is a mirror of me. And the reason I'm saying that is it's helped me to come to love the system rather than to want to fight the system or to knock the system down. I think we'd all appreciate here that that's not really possible anyhow without getting into military stuff. We're not at all about that kind of path. Anything that involves resistance and is not good. And I hope to clear that picture up somewhat today too on resistance. For example, the reason everyone here that's paying taxes as a taxpayer is because you're not making a 100% tax return. Anything less than 100% is resistance. I know that sounds kind of dumb. What do you mean 100% tax return? But if you actually did do a 100% tax return, you'd never hear from the tax man. And contrary to what everyone is doing. And so a lot of this conversation, a lot of about what I'm about is letting go of resistance. The resistance comes in many, many forms, and denial is one, fear is one. So a lot of things in my mind fall under the word resistance. And but today is about letting go of resistance. And I hope to show you that you can draw your own conclusions at the end of the day that, yeah, maybe resistance is the problem, and if we let go of resistance, we'll be out of the problem. True unconditional love, for example, as I'm learning is the way. Having come from a household that was actually true conditional love. Thanks, Mom. I realized that was my lesson in life, was to go down that road, to realize I didn't like that road. If I hadn't had that experience, I wouldn't be here today probably. And I think everyone here has their little things that they grew up in a household, and you know what, Mom and Dad did the best they possibly could, because however they treated me was how they were treated, it's how their parents were treated, and on it goes. So there's no blame here, anywhere. You know, Mom and Dad did do their best, and it's about 3 years ago I realized that why my mother was my mother as I was growing up. You know, she's still my mother. However, it was a very conditional household. And so I lived that probably, I'm 50 now, apparently, and for about 48 years, that's how I lived my life. Just being honest with myself. And so I was a masterful resistor. As Abraham would say, we're all masterful resistors. In fact, we're so masterful at being resistors, and we're so free that we chose bondage. That sounds insane, but it's true. And there are legal mechanisms that have been put in place, and that we bought into for whatever reasons, doesn't matter. And we can free ourselves from the choices we made a long time ago before we knew better. So I just wanted to kind of start the moment here by sharing. It's going on and off a bit here. Just a response from a lawyer, and this kind of just sets the tone for how people think out there. And I approached this lawyer just to have a short chit chat about some things. And what I'm going to share with you is just the basic response and some things that he said that, as I say, kind of set the foundation for the mind of people we're dealing with out there. You know, in one sentence, he says, when you were born, your parents gave you a name. Okay, so if we listen to the words here, when I was born, my parents gave me a name, so there's me and there's a name. But in the very next sentence, he goes on to say, you are correct that you, Victor Beck. So all of a sudden now, me and the name are one. Okay, so it started with, your parents gave you a name, and then in the next sentence says, you, Victor Beck, suggesting now that me and Victor Beck are one and the same, which is not true. But this is the mindset. And this is the ignorance, I'm going to call it ignorance, is what we're up against on a daily basis out there, because everyone pretty much is thinking that same way. Certainly the agents in the system are thinking that way. That's why when you go into a court situation, they call a name. They don't call the body, they call the name. And I'm sure some of you have heard stories where they'll say it has nothing to do with the name. Well, if it doesn't have anything to do with the name, then why do they use a name? The truth is it starts with the name. But the point of this letter here is that the lawyer, in one sentence, is acknowledging that me and name are separate, and in the very next sentence, he's got me and the name as one. And I assure you, I am not a name. A name, by definition, is a word or a phrase. I don't see any words or phrases out here. I see living souls. Another thing he said in his letter is, your parents registered your birth. That's not true. My parents didn't register anything. The government does the registration. Okay, and you'll learn maybe throughout the day that sometimes words are very incriminating, and if we don't pay attention and catch these things, we can find ourselves bound up into something that we maybe don't want to be bound up into. And let's understand one thing, that contract is the law, and the system is very good at making contracts, very good at making contracts. In fact, a willingness for two strangers to talk can be considered a contractual situation, or giving rise to the